I watched my sister Emma collapse to the floor during my wedding reception, her face flushed red, as she gasped for air, claiming she was having a severe allergic reaction to shellfish. The paramedics rushed in. Guests screamed, my bride Kelly sobbed uncontrollably, and my best man stood frozen mid-speech. But while everyone else panicked, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. Emma's purse had fallen open, and inside were 3 shrimp appetizers from the same platter she claimed was killing her. This was not the first time. For 23 years, every birthday party, graduation ceremony, job promotion celebration, and first date had been destroyed by Emma's mysterious medical emergencies that somehow only appeared during my happiest moments. Growing up, I thought I was the unluckiest brother in America. Every time something good happened to me, Emma would suffer what appeared to be a life-threatening medical crisis that required immediate attention and completely derailed whatever celebration was taking place. It started when I turned 8 years old. Mom had spent weeks planning my birthday party, complete with a Superman-themed cake and invitations to 12 classmates from school. Just as everyone gathered around to sing happy birthday and I prepared to blow out the candles, Emma suddenly doubled over in pain, clutching her stomach and screaming that she could not breathe. She pointed at the chocolate cake and declared she was having a severe lactose intolerance attack. Within minutes, our house transformed into a medical emergency zone. Mom frantically called 911 while Dad tried to comfort Emma, who was writhing on the kitchen floor, making horrifying choking sounds. The ambulance arrived with sirens blaring, drawing curious neighbors to their windows and completely terrifying my friends. The paramedics loaded Emma onto a stretcher while she dramatically gasped about dairy products trying to kill her. My birthday party ended before it truly began. Mom rode in the ambulance to the hospital, Dad followed in our car, and my friends were picked up early by confused parents who had no idea what had happened. I spent my 8th birthday alone in our empty house, staring at an untouched Superman cake and wondering why my sister always seemed to get sick whenever I was supposed to be happy. The hospital discharged Emma that same evening with instructions to avoid dairy products, though the doctor seemed puzzled because her blood work showed no signs of lactose intolerance. Mom and Dad were so relieved that Emma was safe, they completely forgot about my ruined birthday party. When I mentioned feeling disappointed, Dad gently scolded me for being selfish when my sister had nearly died. 5 years later, the same pattern emerged during my high school graduation ceremony. I had worked incredibly hard to become valedictorian, maintaining a 4.0 grade average, while participating in student government and volunteering at the local animal shelter. The graduation ceremony took place on a beautiful June afternoon, with families packed into the school auditorium to watch their children receive diplomas. As I walked to the podium to deliver my valedictory speech representing 4 years of dedication and academic excellence, Emma suddenly began making strange, wheezing sounds from the audience. She stood up abruptly, pointing at someone eating peanut butter cookies near her seat, and declared that she was going into anaphylactic shock from severe peanut allergies. The entire graduation ceremony ground to a halt as Emma collapsed dramatically in the aisle, her breathing becoming increasingly labored. Mom screamed for help while Dad tried to locate an EpiPen that Emma claimed she always carried, but somehow could never find during her medical emergencies. The school nurse rushed over with oxygen while someone called for another ambulance. My valedictory speech, the culmination of 4 years of hard work, and the moment I had been anticipating for months, was completely forgotten as everyone focused on Emma's medical crisis. The principal announced that graduation would resume after the emergency was resolved, but by the time Emma was loaded into another ambulance and taken to the hospital, the mood was completely destroyed. Once again, Emma was discharged from the hospital within hours with no definitive diagnosis, though she was prescribed an EpiPen for what doctors called possible peanut sensitivity. My graduation dinner was canceled, my relatives went home early, and my achievement was overshadowed by another mysterious medical emergency that seemed to appear out of nowhere. The third major incident occurred during my college acceptance celebration. After working multiple part-time jobs to pay for application fees and spending countless hours on essays and interviews, I had been accepted to my dream school with a partial academic scholarship. Mom and Dad planned a small family dinner at my favorite restaurant to celebrate this milestone achievement. We were halfway through our appetizers when Emma suddenly began scratching her arms, frantically claiming that she was having a severe allergic reaction to gluten. Red welts appeared on her skin seemingly out of nowhere, as she insisted that cross-contamination from the bread basket was causing her immune system to attack itself. She described feeling dizzy and nauseous, while her throat began closing up from what she diagnosed as celiac disease. The restaurant manager called emergency services, while other diners watched in horror as Emma writhed in apparent agony from gluten poisoning. My college acceptance dinner ended with another ambulance ride, another hospital visit, and another medical mystery that doctors struggled to explain. Emma left the hospital with instructions to follow a strict gluten-free diet, though her blood tests showed no evidence of celiac disease or gluten sensitivity. By this point, I was beginning to notice disturbing patterns in Emma's medical emergencies. They only occurred during events that celebrated my achievements or important moments in my life. She never had allergic reactions during her own birthday parties, school performances, or social gatherings. Her medical crises always seemed to strike at the exact moment when attention was focused on me transforming my celebrations into emergencies centered around her health and safety. But whenever I tried to discuss these observations with Mom and Dad, they dismissed my concerns as jealousy or selfishness. They reminded me that Emma had serious medical conditions that required family support and understanding. They made me feel guilty for questioning my sister's health problems and suggested that I was being paranoid about coincidental timing. Emma herself was always tearfully apologetic after her medical emergencies, explaining that she wished she could control her allergic reactions, but they seemed to strike without warning. She would promise to be more careful about avoiding trigger foods and express genuine sadness that her health problems kept interfering with family celebrations. Her performances were so convincing that I began to doubt my own suspicions and feel ashamed for questioning someone who appeared to be suffering from serious medical conditions. The final piece of evidence I needed came completely by accident. One evening, while using the family computer to research scholarship opportunities, I noticed that Emma had forgotten to log out of her email account. Curiosity got the better of me, and I clicked on her browser history to see what she had been researching online. What I discovered made my hands shake with rage and disbelief. Emma's search history contained dozens of queries about faking allergic reactions, including detailed instructions for creating artificial symptoms, safe substances that could mimic anaphylaxis, and methods for fooling emergency medical technicians. She had researched how to make herself vomit on command, how to create temporary rashes using common household products, and how to hyperventilate in ways that would alarm observers without causing actual harm. Even more disturbing was her medical research about different types of allergic reactions, including detailed symptom descriptions that matched perfectly with her various medical emergencies over the years. She had methodically studied lactose intolerance, peanut allergies, celiac disease, and shellfish sensitivity to ensure that her fake reactions would appear medically legitimate. After discovering Emma's incriminating browser history, I decided to conduct a thorough investigation into her alleged medical conditions. I could no longer ignore the mounting evidence that my sister had been deliberately sabotaging my important moments for over 15 years. I started by creating a detailed timeline of every single one of Emma's medical emergencies, cross-referencing them with significant events in my life. The correlation was absolutely undeniable. 23 separate incidents spanning from my 8th birthday to my recent engagement party, and every single one had occurred during moments when I was supposed to be celebrating achievements or milestones. Emma had never experienced allergic reactions during random family dinners, casual outings, or ordinary days. Her medical crises exclusively appeared during my birthday party's graduation ceremonies, award presentations, job interview celebrations, and relationship announcements. The timing was so precise that it could not possibly be coincidental. To gather more evidence, I began secretly documenting Emma's eating habits during regular family meals when no special events were taking place. I discreetly filmed her consuming dairy products, peanuts, gluten, and shellfish without any adverse reactions whatsoever. She ate ice cream, peanut butter sandwiches, regular bread, and shrimp pasta while chatting normally and showing no signs of discomfort or allergic symptoms. My next step involved contacting Emma's previous doctors to inquire about her medical records and official allergy diagnoses. This required some creative storytelling about updating family medical histories for insurance purposes, but I eventually spoke with 3 different physicians who had treated Emma during her emergency room visits over the years. All 3 doctors confirmed that Emma had never been formally diagnosed with any food allergies, despite multiple hospital visits. Her blood tests consistently showed normal results with no elevated antibody levels that would indicate genuine allergic conditions. The doctors had prescribed EpiPens and recommended dietary restrictions, based solely on Emma's self-reported symptoms, but they had no medical evidence supporting her claimed allergies. Dr. Jennifer Martinez, who had treated Emma during 2 separate emergency room visits, admitted that she had been puzzled by Emma's cases because her symptoms disappeared quickly, without medical intervention, and her vital signs remained stable throughout both visits. She explained that genuine anaphylactic reactions typically require immediate treatment and create measurable physiological changes that Emma never exhibited. Armed with this medical information, I decided to approach our mutual friend Jake, who had known Emma since high school and often attended family gatherings where her medical emergencies occurred. I carefully broached the subject during a casual conversation, expressing concern about Emma's frequent allergic reactions and asking if he had noticed any patterns. Jake's response shocked me. He admitted that Emma had bragged to him about her ability to create medical emergencies whenever she needed attention or wanted to disrupt events that focused on other people. She had described her fake allergic reactions as a foolproof method for becoming the center of attention and making people worry about her well-being. According to Jake, Emma had laughed about how easy it was to fool paramedics and doctors with simple tricks she had learned from internet research. She carried harmless substances that could create temporary rashes, knew how to induce vomiting through finger manipulation, and practiced hyperventilation techniques that mimicked serious breathing difficulties. Even more disturbing, Jake revealed that Emma specifically targeted my celebrations because she resented the attention I received for academic and professional achievements. She felt that I was the favored child who received too much praise and recognition, so she used fake medical crises to level the playing field and redirect family focus toward her health struggles. To verify Jake's claims, I reached out to Emma's former college roommate Madison, who had witnessed several of Emma's alleged allergic reactions during their time living together. Madison had always been suspicious about Emma's medical emergencies because they seemed to occur at convenient times and disappear without proper treatment. Madison told me that Emma had once admitted to faking a severe allergic reaction to avoid taking a difficult chemistry exam. She had consumed something that made her temporarily ill, then exaggerated her symptoms to convince professors that she needed medical attention and exam postponements. Madison had confronted Emma about this deception, but Emma had sworn her to secrecy by claiming that her parents would disown her if they discovered her academic struggles. The most damaging evidence came when I discovered Emma's secret online fundraising activities. She had created multiple social media accounts and crowdfunding pages describing her life-threatening allergic conditions and requesting financial support for medical expenses, specialized foods, and emergency medical equipment. Emma had raised over $12,000 from sympathetic relatives, family friends, neighbors, and even strangers who believed her compelling stories about struggling with severe food allergies that required constant vigilance and expensive treatments. She posted dramatic photographs of herself in hospital beds, shared fabricated stories about near-death experiences, and created detailed sob stories about how her allergic conditions prevented her from living a normal life. The crowdfunding descriptions were masterfully crafted to evoke maximum sympathy while providing just enough medical detail to appear legitimate. Emma described herself as a brave young woman battling multiple life-threatening allergies that could trigger fatal anaphylactic shock without warning. She claimed to need funds for specialized allergy-free foods, multiple EpiPens medical alert jewelry, and emergency room visits that were not fully covered by insurance. Reading through dozens of sympathetic comments from people who had donated money to support Emma's fake medical conditions made me feel sick with rage and guilt. These generous individuals had been manipulated into giving their hard-earned money to someone who was deliberately deceiving them about serious health problems. Emma had even created fake medical documentation to support her fundraising efforts, including falsified doctor's notes, counterfeit allergy test results, and manufactured hospital bills that she posted as proof of her ongoing medical expenses. The level of premeditation and deception involved in her schemes was far more extensive than I had initially imagined. As I compiled this evidence, I realized that Emma's behavior went beyond simple attention-seeking and represented deliberate fraud manipulation and emotional abuse that had damaged my relationships with family members and robbed me of countless important moments. She had stolen my childhood celebrations, undermined my academic achievements, and created years of guilt and confusion about my own feelings. The most devastating realization was that Emma had been monitoring my personal communications and private plans to ensure that her medical emergencies would have maximum impact. She somehow knew about job interviews, relationship developments, and academic achievements before they became public knowledge, allowing her to prepare her fake allergic reactions in advance. This discovery led me to check my phone, computer, and email accounts for signs of unauthorized access. I found evidence that Emma had been reading my text messages, monitoring my social media accounts, and even accessing my email correspondence without my knowledge or permission. She had been spying on me for years to gather information about upcoming events that she could sabotage with carefully timed medical crises. My wedding day to Kelly was supposed to be the most perfect day of our lives. After 18 months of careful planning, we had arranged every detail to create a magical celebration that would mark the beginning of our marriage. Kelly had spent countless hours coordinating with vendors, selecting flowers, choosing music, and ensuring that every element would contribute to an unforgettable experience. The morning of our wedding dawned clear and beautiful, with golden sunshine streaming through the windows of the bridal suite, where Kelly was getting ready with her bridesmaids. I felt a mixture of excitement and nervous energy as I prepared for the ceremony that would unite us as husband and wife. Emma arrived at the venue early, offering to help with last-minute preparations and expressing genuine enthusiasm about my wedding day. For the first time in years, she seemed genuinely supportive and excited about one of my important events. She complimented Kelly's dress, helped arrange flower arrangements, and even gave a sweet speech about how happy she was that I had found such a wonderful woman to marry. Her behavior was so normal and caring that I began to wonder if perhaps I had been too suspicious about her previous medical emergencies. Maybe Emma had genuinely struggled with allergic conditions that were now under better control with proper medical management. I felt guilty for doubting my sister and decided to focus on enjoying my wedding day without worrying about potential problems. The wedding ceremony itself was absolutely perfect. Kelly looked stunning in her white gown as she walked down the aisle, and I felt overwhelmed with emotion as we exchanged vows in front of our closest family and friends. Emma sat in the front row with our parents smiling warmly and even wiping away tears during the more emotional moments of the ceremony. After the ceremony concluded, we moved to the reception venue for dinner, dancing, and celebration. The evening was progressing beautifully with delicious food, heartfelt toasts, and joyful dancing that created exactly the magical atmosphere Kelly and I had envisioned. My best man Marcus stood up to deliver his speech just as the main course was being served. He had prepared funny stories about our friendship dating back to college, along with sincere wishes for my marriage to Kelly. The guests quieted down to listen as Marcus began sharing amusing anecdotes about our adventures and misadventures over the years. Approximately 5 minutes into Marcus's speech, just as he was reaching the emotional climax about how much Kelly meant to me and how perfect we were together, Emma suddenly began making choking sounds from her table near the front of the reception hall. She stood up abruptly, pointing at the seafood appetizers that had been served during cocktail hour, and announced loudly that she was having a severe allergic reaction to shellfish. Within seconds, Emma collapsed dramatically to the floor, her face flushing red as she gasped for air and clutched her throat. She began making terrifying wheezing sounds while her body convulsed in apparent anaphylactic shock. Guests screamed in horror as Emma's breathing became increasingly labored, and she seemed to be dying right in front of everyone. Kelly immediately burst into tears, terrified that someone was having a medical emergency at our wedding reception. Marcus stopped his speech mid-sentence and rushed to help while other guests frantically called 911 and searched for EpiPens or medical supplies. The beautiful, magical atmosphere of our wedding celebration was instantly transformed into a chaotic emergency scene. However, this time I was prepared for Emma's performance. Based on my previous investigations and suspicions, I had discreetly installed small security cameras throughout the reception venue to document any potential incidents. I also had my phone ready to record events and had briefed Kelly about the possibility that Emma might attempt to sabotage our wedding. While everyone else focused on Emma's apparent medical crisis, I carefully observed her behavior and noticed several inconsistencies that confirmed my suspicions. Despite claiming to be in anaphylactic shock, Emma's vital signs appeared stable, and she maintained enough control to ensure that her collapse occurred in the most visible location possible, directly in front of the head table, where all attention would be focused on her. More importantly, I had been watching Emma throughout the cocktail hour and witnessed her deliberately consuming multiple shrimp appetizers from the same platter that she now claimed was causing her life-threatening allergic reaction. She had eaten at least 6 pieces of coconut shrimp while chatting casually with other guests, showing no signs of distress or allergic symptoms. As paramedics arrived and began examining Emma, I discreetly reviewed the footage from my hidden cameras using my phone. The video clearly showed Emma eating shellfish appetizers without any problems, then reaching into her purse to retrieve something small that she consumed quickly before beginning her dramatic allergic reaction performance. I also noticed that Emma's purse had fallen open during her collapse, revealing 3 additional shrimp appetizers that she had apparently taken from the serving platters and hidden for reasons that made no logical sense if she was genuinely allergic to shellfish. Someone with severe shellfish allergies would never deliberately carry trigger foods in their personal belongings. Kelly and I stepped aside to review the camera footage together, while Emma continued her performance for the paramedics and concerned wedding guests. The video evidence was absolutely damning, showing Emma's deliberate consumption of shellfish, followed by her consumption of an unknown substance from her purse, and then the immediate beginning of her fake allergic reaction. We also discovered additional footage of Emma in the bridal suite bathroom approximately 30 minutes before her collapse, where she appeared to be practicing her allergic reaction symptoms in front of the mirror. She rehearsed her choking sounds, practiced her facial expressions, and even timed how long she could hold her breath to create the appearance of breathing difficulties. The most shocking discovery came when Kelly checked with our wedding planner, Carol, who revealed that Emma had approached the catering staff earlier that evening, asking detailed questions about which dishes contained shellfish and requesting that extra shrimp appetizers be placed near her assigned table. Emma had specifically requested that the shellfish dishes be prominently displayed and easily accessible, claiming that she wanted to help other guests avoid accidentally consuming foods that might trigger their allergic reactions. Even more disturbing, Carol told us that Emma had approached the wedding videographer that morning, offering to pay him additional money to ensure that cameras would capture any medical emergencies that might occur during the reception. She had specifically requested that any dramatic incidents be prominently featured in the final wedding video, claiming that she wanted to document how the family handled crisis situations together. Emma had essentially paid our wedding videographer to prioritize filming her fake medical emergency over capturing the actual wedding celebration that Kelly and I were paying thousands of dollars to commemorate. She had planned her disruption in advance and taken steps to ensure that her performance would be permanently recorded and featured prominently in our wedding memories. As the paramedics prepared to transport Emma to the hospital for evaluation, I made the difficult decision to confront her privately about what I had discovered. I showed her the video footage of her eating shellfish and practicing her symptoms, along with evidence of her advanced planning and coordination with wedding vendors. Emma's reaction to being caught was unlike anything I had ever witnessed. Instead of showing remorse or shame, she became furious that I had installed cameras to document her behavior. She accused me of being paranoid and controlling, claiming that I was so desperate to blame her for problems that I was willing to spy on family members and manufacture evidence against her. She maintained her story about having a genuine allergic reaction, insisting that she must have accidentally consumed contaminated food without realizing it contained shellfish. She claimed that the video footage was misleading and that I was misinterpreting innocent actions as malicious behavior because of my long-standing jealousy toward her. However, Emma's angry outburst revealed knowledge that she should not have possessed. She mentioned specific details about my job promotion timeline and salary negotiations that I had only discussed in private conversations with Kelly and had never shared with any family members. She also referenced confidential information about our honeymoon plans that we had deliberately kept secret from everyone except our travel agent. This revelation made me realize that Emma's spying and manipulation had been even more extensive than I had previously understood. She had somehow been monitoring my private communications and personal conversations to gather information that would allow her to time her medical emergencies for maximum impact and disruption. The morning after our wedding, I requested a family meeting with Mom, Dad, Kelly, and Emma to address the overwhelming evidence I had gathered about Emma's fake medical emergencies. I had spent most of our wedding night organizing documentation, video footage, medical records, and witness testimonies into a comprehensive presentation that would clearly demonstrate Emma's pattern of deceptive behavior. Kelly and I arrived at our parents' house carrying multiple folders containing printed evidence along with my laptop to show the security camera footage from our wedding reception. I felt nervous, but determined to finally expose the truth about Emma's manipulative behavior that had been damaging our family relationships for over 15 years. Mom and Dad seemed confused about the purpose of our emergency family meeting, especially given that it was taking place the day after our wedding, when Kelly and I should have been relaxing or beginning our honeymoon. Emma appeared calm and collected, showing no signs of concern about potential accusations or evidence that might be presented against her. I began by showing everyone the timeline I had created, documenting every one of Emma's medical emergencies and their correlation with important events in my life. The pattern was undeniable when presented in chronological order, clearly demonstrating that Emma's allergic reactions exclusively occurred during my celebrations and achievements. Next, I presented the medical evidence I had gathered from Emma's previous doctors, showing that she had never been officially diagnosed with any food allergies despite multiple hospital visits and emergency room treatments. I explained that her blood tests consistently showed normal results and that medical professionals had prescribed treatments based solely on Emma's self-reported symptoms. Mom and Dad listened to this information with growing confusion and discomfort, occasionally glancing at Emma for explanations or reassurance. They seemed reluctant to accept the possibility that Emma had been deceiving medical professionals and manipulating family members for years. When I showed them the security camera footage from our wedding reception clearly displaying Emma eating shellfish appetizers before practicing her allergic reaction symptoms and then performing her fake medical emergency, their reactions were mixed. Dad appeared shocked and disturbed by the video evidence while Mom immediately began making excuses for Emma's behavior. Mom suggested that Emma might have been confused about which foods contained shellfish, or that cross-contamination could have occurred without her knowledge. She proposed that Emma's bathroom activities might have been innocent preparation for the reception rather than rehearsal for fake symptoms. She seemed determined to find alternative explanations for the damning video evidence. Emma's response to being confronted with irrefutable proof was masterfully manipulative. She began crying softly, expressing hurt and disappointment that her own brother would spy on her during such a special family occasion. She claimed to be devastated that I trusted security cameras more than my sister's word about her serious medical conditions. She maintained her innocence by suggesting that the video footage had been edited or taken out of context to support my predetermined conclusions. She insisted that any shellfish consumption must have been accidental, and that her bathroom activities were simply normal wedding preparation routines that appeared suspicious when viewed through a lens of existing suspicion. Most convincingly, Emma produced what appeared to be official medical documentation supporting her allergy diagnoses, including doctor's notes, prescription records, and laboratory test results that seemed to contradict the information I had gathered from her previous physicians. She presented these documents as proof that she was receiving ongoing medical treatment for legitimate allergic conditions. Emma also displayed a medical alert bracelet that she claimed to wear constantly for emergency identification purposes, along with multiple EpiPens that she carried in various purses and bags. She demonstrated detailed knowledge about allergic reaction symptoms, emergency treatment protocols, and dietary restrictions that seemed to support her claims about living with serious food allergies. Her performance was so convincing and emotionally manipulative that Mom immediately sided with Emma, accusing me of being cruel and paranoid for attacking my sister's health struggles. Mom suggested that years of resentment about Emma's medical conditions had warped my perception and caused me to misinterpret innocent actions as malicious behavior. Dad was more hesitant to take sides, acknowledging that the video evidence was disturbing, while also expressing concern about Emma's emotional distress from being falsely accused. He suggested that we should involve medical professionals to conduct proper allergy testing and resolve the questions about Emma's health conditions objectively. Emma tearfully agreed to undergo comprehensive allergy testing, claiming that she wanted to prove her innocence and restore family harmony. She expressed disappointment that her brother would rather believe conspiracy theories than trust his sister's word about her medical struggles, but said she was willing to submit to any tests necessary to clear her name. However, during this emotional confrontation, Emma made a critical error that revealed the extent of her surveillance and manipulation. While defending herself against accusations of spying on my communications, she accidentally referenced specific details about my confidential job interview process that had never been shared with family members. She mentioned knowing about salary negotiation deadlines, specific company policies, and internal corporate restructuring plans that I had only discussed in private phone conversations with Kelly and had never revealed to anyone else. She also demonstrated knowledge about our honeymoon itinerary details that we had deliberately kept secret from all family members. When I pointed out that Emma should not have possessed this confidential information, she became flustered and tried to claim that she must have overheard fragments of conversation or picked up details from context clues. However, the specific nature of the information she had revealed made it clear that she had been systematically monitoring my private communications. Kelly supported my accusations by confirming that we had been extremely careful to keep certain information private, and that Emma's knowledge could only have been obtained through deliberate spying or surveillance activities. She also pointed out that Emma's emotional manipulation tactics were textbook examples of gaslighting behavior designed to make victims doubt their own perceptions and experiences. Despite this additional evidence of Emma's deceptive behavior, Mom refused to accept that her daughter could be capable of such elaborate manipulation and fraud. She accused Kelly of poisoning my mind against Emma and suggested that our marriage had created loyalty conflicts that were damaging family relationships. The family meeting ended without resolution, with Mom and Emma maintaining their positions that the allegations were false and motivated by jealousy or misunderstanding. Dad expressed willingness to investigate further, but wanted to avoid taking sides until more definitive evidence could be gathered. Emma agreed to undergo medical testing while continuing to maintain her innocence and express hurt about being falsely accused. She promised to cooperate fully with any investigations while emphasizing how painful it was to have her own family doubt her medical conditions and personal integrity. Kelly and I left the meeting feeling frustrated and emotionally drained, realizing that Emma's manipulation skills were even more sophisticated than we had anticipated. It became clear that we would need absolutely irrefutable evidence to overcome Emma's ability to manufacture explanations and manipulate family emotions. The experience taught me that confronting a skilled manipulator requires more than just evidence and logic. Emma had spent years perfecting her deceptive techniques and had built such a convincing false narrative about her medical conditions that even video footage and medical records were not sufficient to completely expose her fraud. We realized that Emma's psychological manipulation had created deep family dysfunction that would require professional intervention to resolve. Her ability to make other people doubt their own perceptions and feel guilty for questioning her behavior represented a level of emotional abuse that had been damaging family relationships for years. After the failed family confrontation, Kelly and I realized that we needed absolutely irrefutable evidence that could not be explained away or dismissed through Emma's manipulative tactics. We decided to create an elaborate setup that would expose Emma's deceptive behavior under controlled conditions with professional medical supervision. Our plan began with creating false information about upcoming events in my life that Emma could monitor through her surveillance activities. We carefully crafted fake announcements about a major job promotion and substantial salary increase that would supposedly be celebrated at a special family dinner the following month. Kelly and I also fabricated plans for a surprise anniversary party honoring our parents' 30-year marriage, where I would be giving a speech about family values and the importance of honesty in maintaining strong relationships. We made sure to discuss these fake plans during phone conversations and text messages that Emma could intercept through her spying methods. To make our trap even more appealing, we spread information about how excited I was to finally have career success that would allow us to start planning for children and buying a larger home. We created a narrative that this promotion represented the biggest achievement of my professional life and would be celebrated with extended family and close friends. While setting up this false information, I secretly contacted Dr. Patricia Williams, our family physician who had known Emma since childhood and had treated several of her alleged allergic reactions over the years. Dr. Williams had always been puzzled by Emma's cases because her symptoms never matched standard allergic reaction patterns and disappeared quickly without proper medical intervention. I explained our suspicions to Dr. Williams and showed her some of the evidence I had gathered, including the wedding reception video footage and Emma's medical records from other physicians. Dr. Williams admitted that she had long questioned the legitimacy of Emma's allergic conditions, but had prescribed treatments based on Emma's reported symptoms because she could not definitively prove that Emma was faking her medical emergencies. Dr. Williams agreed to participate in our investigation by providing professional medical monitoring during Emma's next alleged allergic reaction. She explained that genuine anaphylactic reactions create specific physiological changes that can be measured through blood pressure monitoring, oxygen saturation levels, and other vital sign assessments that would be impossible to fake convincingly. Kelly's brother, Detective Marcus Rodriguez, also agreed to help with our investigation after learning about Emma's fraudulent fundraising activities and identity theft. Marcus explained that Emma's behavior potentially constituted multiple criminal offenses, including fraud, identity theft, and stalking, that could result in serious legal consequences if we could gather sufficient evidence. Detective Rodriguez provided us with professional-grade recording equipment and helped us develop a documentation strategy that would create legally admissible evidence of Emma's deceptive behavior. He also researched Emma's online activities and discovered additional fraudulent schemes that we had not previously uncovered. We scheduled our fake family celebration for a Saturday evening dinner at our parents' house, ensuring that Emma would have advance notice to prepare her usual medical emergency performance. Kelly and I spent weeks discussing our excitement about my promotion and the special dinner where I would be announcing my career success to the entire family. As expected, Emma took the bait and began preparing for what she assumed would be another opportunity to sabotage my celebration with a dramatic medical crisis. We noticed increased activity on my monitored communication accounts, indicating that Emma was gathering information about the planned event and timing her intervention accordingly. 3 days before our scheduled dinner, we implemented the final phase of our plan by arranging for Dr. Williams and Detective Rodriguez to be present at the family gathering under cover of social visiting. Dr. Williams would attend as a family friend, while Detective Rodriguez would be introduced as Kelly's brother, who was interested in meeting my family. We also secretly installed professional medical monitoring equipment that would track Emma's vital signs throughout the evening, along with multiple hidden cameras that would document her behavior before, during, and after any alleged allergic reactions. The monitoring equipment was sophisticated enough to detect genuine medical emergencies while also identifying fake symptoms. Kelly and I carefully planned the evening's menu to include foods that Emma had previously claimed allergic reactions to, including shellfish appetizers, peanut-based desserts, dairy products, and gluten-containing bread. We made sure these items would be prominently displayed and easily accessible to Emma throughout the dinner. However, our careful planning took an unexpected turn when Emma escalated her behavior beyond anything she had attempted previously. Instead of simply faking allergic reaction symptoms using her usual methods, she apparently decided to create genuine physical symptoms by injecting herself with an unknown substance that caused real medical distress. During the family dinner, Emma waited until I was beginning my speech about career achievements and family support before excusing herself to use the bathroom. The hidden cameras captured her injecting something into her arm using what appeared to be a small syringe, followed immediately by the onset of genuine physical symptoms, including rapid heartbeat, sweating, and difficulty breathing. When Emma returned to the dining room and began displaying what appeared to be legitimate medical distress, Dr. Williams immediately recognized that Emma was experiencing real physiological changes rather than her usual fake symptoms. The medical monitoring equipment confirmed that Emma's vital signs were genuinely abnormal and potentially dangerous. This development created an ethical crisis for our investigation because Emma had apparently endangered her own health in pursuit of attention and disruption. Dr. Williams was forced to provide genuine medical treatment, while Detective Rodriguez documented the evidence of Emma injecting herself with an unknown substance. Emma was transported to the hospital for emergency treatment, where blood tests revealed that she had injected herself with a combination of substances designed to create allergic reaction symptoms without causing permanent harm. However, her amateur medical experimentation had created more serious complications than she had anticipated. The hospital incident provided the irrefutable evidence we needed to expose Emma's deceptive behavior, but it also revealed that her psychological condition was far more serious than we had initially understood. Her willingness to potentially harm herself for attention indicated a level of mental illness that required immediate professional intervention. Dr. Williams explained that Emma's behavior represented a severe psychological disorder that had progressed beyond simple attention-seeking into dangerous self-harm territory. She recommended immediate psychiatric evaluation and ongoing mental health treatment to address the underlying issues driving Emma's destructive behavior. Detective Rodriguez confirmed that Emma's actions constituted multiple criminal offenses and that charges would likely be filed regardless of her mental health status. The evidence of fraud, identity theft, and endangering her own safety created a legal situation that would require court intervention and professional supervision. Our family gathering proceeded as planned on Saturday evening, with all the key participants present, including Mom, Dad, Emma Kelly, Dr. Williams, and Detective Rodriguez. The atmosphere was tense, but carefully controlled, with everyone except Emma, aware that this dinner would serve as the final test of her truthfulness about her alleged medical conditions. I had prepared a speech announcing my fabricated job promotion and expressing gratitude to my family for their support throughout my career development. The menu featured all of Emma's supposed allergy triggers, prominently displayed on the dining room table, including coconut shrimp appetizers, peanut butter pie cheese and crackers, and freshly baked dinner rolls. Emma arrived at dinner appearing relaxed and cheerful, complimenting Mom on the food preparation and engaging in normal family conversation about work weather and upcoming holidays. She showed no signs of concern about the various allergen foods surrounding her, even helping to serve the shrimp appetizers to other family members without displaying any anxiety about potential cross-contamination. As dinner progressed, Emma consumed moderate portions of all the foods that had previously triggered her alleged allergic reactions. She ate bread, dairy products, and even picked at the shrimp appetizers while chatting normally with Dr. Williams and Detective Rodriguez about their respective careers and interests. Approximately 45 minutes into dinner, I stood up to deliver my prepared speech about receiving a major promotion and salary increase at work. I thanked my family for their encouragement and support, expressing excitement about new opportunities for career advancement and financial security that would allow Kelly and me to start planning for our future together. As I reached the emotional climax of my speech describing how much this promotion meant to me and how proud I was to share this achievement with my loved ones, Emma suddenly began exhibiting what appeared to be severe allergic reaction symptoms to multiple foods simultaneously. She claimed that she was experiencing anaphylactic shock from shellfish, peanuts, dairy, and gluten all at the same time, which Dr. Williams immediately recognized as medically impossible. Genuine allergic reactions typically involve specific trigger foods rather than multiple simultaneous allergens, especially when the person had been consuming these foods without problems throughout the entire meal. Emma's performance was more dramatic than any of her previous medical emergencies involving intense wheezing, full-body trembling, facial swelling, and claims that her throat was closing completely. She demanded immediate emergency medical attention while accusing the family of trying to poison her with foods that she had repeatedly warned them about over the years. However, this time Emma was being monitored by professional medical equipment that Dr. Williams was discreetly operating from her position at the dinner table. The monitoring devices showed that Emma's vital signs remained completely normal throughout her dramatic performance, indicating that she was not experiencing any genuine physiological distress, despite her convincing theatrical symptoms. Dr. Williams immediately confronted Emma with the medical evidence explaining that the monitoring equipment showed stable blood pressure, normal oxygen saturation, regular heart rhythm, and no signs of the systemic inflammatory response that characterizes genuine anaphylactic reactions. She professionally debunked each of Emma's claimed symptoms with specific medical explanations. While Dr. Williams was conducting her medical examination, Detective Rodriguez presented Emma with documentation of her fraudulent online fundraising activities, fake medical records, and evidence of identity theft related to her various deception schemes. He explained that her behavior constituted multiple criminal offenses that would require legal prosecution regardless of her motivation. The confrontation escalated when Emma's boyfriend Tyler, who had been unaware of her deceptive behavior, witnessed her fake medical emergency being exposed by medical and legal professionals. Tyler had genuinely believed that Emma suffered from serious allergic conditions and had spent months learning about allergy management and emergency treatment procedures to support what he thought was her legitimate health struggle. Tyler's reaction to discovering that Emma had been deceiving him about fundamental aspects of her identity was immediate and devastating. He realized that their entire relationship had been built on lies and manipulation, with Emma using fake medical conditions to control his behavior and gain sympathy whenever their relationship faced normal challenges. In front of the entire family, Tyler broke up with Emma and demanded that she return the expensive EpiPen's medical alert jewelry and allergy-free foods that he had purchased to support her fabricated health needs. His public rejection added another layer of humiliation to Emma's exposure and demonstrated the real-world consequences of her deceptive behavior. Mom and Dad were forced to confront the overwhelming evidence presented by Dr. Williams and Detective Rodriguez, along with Tyler's first-hand testimony about Emma's admissions of fakery. The professional credibility of the medical and legal experts made it impossible for them to continue denying Emma's guilt or making excuses for her behavior. Extended family members who were present for dinner, including aunts, uncles, and cousins who had donated money to Emma's fraudulent medical fundraising campaigns, expressed shock and anger about being manipulated and financially exploited. Several relatives demanded immediate reimbursement for their charitable contributions and threatened to pursue their own legal action against Emma. As the confrontation intensified, and Emma realized that her usual manipulation tactics were ineffective against professional oversight, she made a desperate attempt to regain control by confessing to everything, while simultaneously trying to generate sympathy for her underlying psychological problems. Emma's confession included admissions of deliberately faking allergic reactions, monitoring my private communications, timing her medical emergencies to sabotage my important events, fraudulently raising money through fake medical fundraising, creating counterfeit medical documentation, and using identity theft to support her various deception schemes. However, instead of expressing genuine remorse for her actions, Emma focused on explaining her behavior as a response to feeling neglected and overlooked within the family structure. She claimed that my academic and professional achievements had always received more attention and praise than her own accomplishments, driving her to create medical emergencies as a method of balancing family attention. Emma's confession was being recorded by Detective Rodriguez for potential legal proceedings, meaning that her admissions of criminal activity would be available for prosecution purposes. Her attempt to generate sympathy through confession had actually provided law enforcement with detailed evidence of multiple felony offenses. The evening concluded with Emma's complete social and legal exposure. Tyler's relationship termination, family members' demands for financial restitution, and Detective Rodriguez's explanation of potential criminal charges, including fraud, identity theft, stalking, and endangering public safety through false emergency calls. Dr. Williams recommended immediate psychiatric evaluation and ongoing mental health treatment, explaining that Emma's behavior indicated serious psychological disorders that required professional intervention. She emphasized that Emma's escalating pattern of deception and manipulation posed risks to herself and others if left untreated. The weeks following Emma's exposure brought swift and comprehensive consequences for her years of deceptive behavior. Detective Rodriguez filed formal criminal charges, including multiple counts of fraud, identity theft, stalking, and filing false emergency reports that had wasted public safety resources for over 15 years. The legal proceedings moved quickly because Emma's recorded confession provided clear evidence of criminal activity, while her fraudulent fundraising campaigns created a documented trail of financial crimes that prosecutors could easily prove in court. Emma's attempts to claim mental illness as a defense were complicated by the premeditated nature of her schemes and her demonstrated ability to maintain normal behavior in other aspects of her life. Emma ultimately accepted a plea bargain that required her to pay full restitution to everyone who had donated money to her fake medical campaigns, complete 200 hours of community service at legitimate medical charities, undergo mandatory psychological counseling, and serve 18 months of supervised probation. The judge emphasized that Emma's manipulation of serious medical conditions had damaged public trust in genuine allergy sufferers and wasted emergency medical resources. The financial restitution requirements forced Emma to liquidate her savings, sell personal possessions, and take on additional employment to repay the $12,000 she had fraudulently collected through her fake fundraising campaigns. She also faced civil lawsuits from several relatives who demanded compensation for emotional distress caused by her manipulation and lies. Mom and Dad struggled tremendously with accepting the reality of Emma's crimes and the extent to which they had enabled her destructive behavior through years of unquestioning support. They enrolled in family therapy sessions to address their guilt about failing to recognize Emma's manipulation and their role in perpetuating her abusive treatment of me. Dr. Patricia Williams referred our family to Dr. Rachel Thompson, a specialist in family systems therapy, who helped us understand how Emma's behavior had created toxic dynamics that affected everyone's emotional health and interpersonal relationships. Through therapy, Mom and Dad began to recognize how their protective instincts toward Emma had inadvertently encouraged her manipulation, while dismissing my legitimate concerns. The most difficult part of our healing process involved Mom and Dad acknowledging that they had repeatedly chosen to believe Emma's lies rather than investigate my claims about her behavior. They realized that their failure to take my concerns seriously had enabled Emma to continue her destructive patterns while causing me years of emotional pain and self-doubt. Mom wrote me a heartfelt letter apologizing for dismissing my feelings and failing to protect me from Emma's manipulation. She acknowledged that her desire to be a supportive mother to Emma had blinded her to the harm that Emma was causing other family members. She promised to rebuild our relationship based on honest communication and mutual respect. Dad struggled more with accepting his role in the family dysfunction, initially defending his actions as appropriate parental protection of a child with medical needs. However, through therapy sessions, he came to understand that his refusal to question Emma's claims had essentially made him complicit in her abuse of family members and misuse of emergency medical services. Emma's court-mandated psychological evaluation revealed that she suffered from narcissistic personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, and factitious disorder, a mental health condition characterized by deliberately producing false symptoms to gain attention and sympathy. Her treatment team explained that her behavior represented a complex combination of personality disorders and learned manipulation tactics. The psychiatric treatment process was lengthy and challenging because Emma initially resisted accepting responsibility for her actions and continued attempting to manipulate her therapists through false emotional displays and fabricated trauma histories. Her treatment team had to use specialized approaches designed for patients with personality disorders who are skilled at deception and manipulation. After approximately 8 months of intensive therapy, Emma began showing genuine signs of insight into her destructive behavior patterns and expressed authentic remorse for the harm she had caused to family members and innocent donors who had supported her fraudulent campaigns. Her therapist cautiously optimistic about her potential for meaningful psychological change with continued treatment. Tyler, who had been devastated by discovering that his relationship was built entirely on lies, initially wanted nothing to do with Emma or our family situation. However, after several months of his own therapy to process the emotional trauma of being manipulated, he agreed to participate in mediated conversations about their relationship and Emma's recovery process. Kelly and I focused on strengthening our marriage and building healthy boundaries with family members while supporting the overall healing process. We discovered that Emma's manipulation had created trust issues and communication problems that extended beyond her direct victims to affect the entire family's ability to have honest relationships. The most significant breakthrough in our family's healing came approximately 1 year after Emma's legal consequences began, when she took initiative to plan a genuine apology dinner where she accepted full responsibility for her actions without making excuses or attempting to generate sympathy for her psychological problems. Emma had prepared individual letters for each family member, acknowledging specific ways that her behavior had harmed them, along with concrete plans for making amends through actions rather than words. She presented detailed restitution plans, demonstrated her progress in therapy, and outlined her commitment to rebuilding trust through consistent, honest behavior over time. During this dinner, Emma publicly destroyed her collection of fake medical documentation, counterfeit EpiPens, and fraudulent medical alert jewelry, while explaining how each item had been used to support her deceptive schemes. She also provided passwords and access to all her online accounts to prove that her fraudulent fundraising activities had been completely terminated. For the first time in over 20 years, I attended a family celebration where Emma genuinely supported my achievements and expressed authentic happiness about my success without attempting to redirect attention toward herself. She asked thoughtful questions about my work, complimented Kelly on her contributions to my career, and even helped serve food without claiming any allergic reactions. The transformation was remarkable, but required ongoing vigilance and professional support to maintain. Emma continued weekly therapy sessions, participated in support groups for people with factitious disorders, and voluntarily submitted to periodic psychological evaluations to monitor her progress and prevent relapses. Our family learned that healing from years of manipulation and abuse requires patience, professional guidance, and commitment from everyone involved in the recovery process. We discovered that Emma's disorders had affected all our relationships and communication patterns in ways that required conscious effort to change. 2 years after Emma's exposure and legal consequences, our family relationships had evolved into something healthier and more honest than they had ever been previously. Emma had successfully completed her probation requirements, made full financial restitution to her victims, and demonstrated consistent progress in her psychological treatment. The most meaningful moment in our healing journey occurred at Kelly's and my second wedding anniversary dinner, where Emma gave a genuine toast celebrating our marriage, without attempting to create drama or redirect attention toward herself. She expressed gratitude for our patience with her recovery process and acknowledged the strength of our relationship in surviving her attempts to sabotage our happiness. Emma's transformation taught our family that even severe personality disorders can be treated successfully with appropriate professional intervention, genuine commitment to change, and strong support systems that maintain healthy boundaries while encouraging recovery. Today, 3 years later, Emma works as a volunteer counselor, helping other people with factitious disorders understand their conditions and develop healthier coping mechanisms. She uses her experience with deception and manipulation to help treatment professionals identify patients who may be struggling with similar psychological problems. Our family gatherings now feature genuine celebrations of everyone's achievements and milestones, without the fear of manufactured medical emergencies or attention-seeking disruptions. Emma has learned to find healthy ways to contribute to family happiness rather than sabotaging other people's special moments. The experience taught me that sometimes loving someone means refusing to enable their destructive behavior even when that person is family. Fighting for truth and justice required courage and persistence, but ultimately created space for genuine healing and authentic relationships to develop. I learned that setting appropriate boundaries with manipulative people is not selfish, but necessary for everyone's emotional health and safety. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is to refuse to participate in their harmful behavior patterns and insist that they get professional help. Emma's recovery proved that people can change even deeply ingrained destructive patterns with proper treatment, genuine commitment, and supportive accountability from people who care about them. However, this transformation requires acknowledging the full extent of harmful behavior and accepting responsibility for making amends to victims. Our story demonstrates that family dysfunction often involves everyone playing unconscious roles that perpetuate harmful dynamics, and healing requires examining these patterns honestly while developing healthier ways of relating to each other. What strikes me most about our journey is how Emma's fake medical emergencies had trained our family to prioritize crisis management over genuine connection and celebration. Learning to enjoy happy moments without anticipating disruptions required practice and conscious effort from everyone involved. The legal consequences Emma faced were necessary not only for justice, but also for breaking the cycle of enabling that had allowed her behavior to continue unchecked for so many years. Sometimes external accountability is required to create motivation for internal change. Looking back, I realized that Emma's behavior had robbed our family of countless opportunities for joy celebration and authentic intimacy. Her recovery gave us the chance to experience genuine relationships based on honesty, mutual support, and respect for each other's individual achievements and happiness. Today, when I see other families struggling with similar dynamics of manipulation, attention-seeking, and enabling, I encourage them to seek professional help and refuse to accept destructive behavior as normal family functioning. Everyone deserves to have their achievements celebrated and their happiness respected. The most important lesson from our experience is that truth and accountability, while initially painful, create the foundation for genuine healing and stronger relationships. Fighting for what is right, even when it involves family members, ultimately serves everyone's best interests and opens the door for authentic love and connection to flourish. Have you ever dealt with a family member whose attention-seeking behavior seemed to sabotage important moments in your life? Share your experiences in the comments below, and if this story resonated with you, please hit the like button to help others find hope in similar situations. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories about overcoming family challenges and building healthier relationships. Please share this video with anyone who might benefit from learning about the importance of setting boundaries with manipulative family members. Thank you for joining me on this journey of truth healing and the courage to fight for authentic family relationships. I hope our story encourages you to never give up on the possibility of genuine love and honest connection, even in the most challenging family circumstances.